This is Maureen Kafkas, the Brain BS coach, here to tell you about the episode today. So, I was inspired to do an episode on universal law because I haven't done one for a while, and I came across my notes from Marianne Williamson's book, The Law of Divine Compensation. So, I'm sharing some of those notes and some of my insights today so that you can start making money and feeling abundant and creating true emotional prosperity. So here you go. Sit back, settle in. Episode 153 of the Brain BS podcast, Marianne Williamson and the Law of Divine Compensation. Do you want more out of your life but not exactly sure what that might be? Are you longing for something but can't quite put your finger on what it is? That is the universe speaking to you, and it is time to listen up. I'm your host, Maureen Kafkas, the Brain BS coach. I created the Brain BS podcast to help people define what success means to them and show them how to get it. I help you to let go of fear and doubt and prepare your nervous system for success. I show you how to understand your own energy and to trust yourself to make all the decisions. If you are ready to go inward and stop looking outside yourself for all the answers, this is the podcast for you. Now let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the Brain BS podcast. So I decided to slip an episode in here around universal law because I haven't done one for a while and you know how much I love it. So I decided to focus today on the law of divine compensation from the book that I read by Marianne Williamson. And I'm pretty sure that that book is her interpretation of the Course of Miracles, if I remember correctly. But so I have all my notes here because whenever I read a book and I love it, I take notes so I can go back, and then it gives me an easy way to find stuff that I want to post on. But it also reminds me of all the things I've learned without having to pick up a book and read the entire thing again, which sometimes I just do that because I love the book so much. But in this case, sometimes I just need little reminders, and this is what I do. So it's how I start my morning. So I have my notes right here. I'm going to do it like that because I'm not really sure exactly what I want to say about this, except that most people, when they're trying to achieve something, some sort of goal that's related to money, they don't realize how involved spirituality is. They think that just taking the right actions, getting the right product is all you need to be really successful. But it's actually your energy and your spirituality that determines what kind of abundance you're going to bring in. So she says, to whatever extent your mind is aligned with love, you will receive divine compensation for any lack in your material existence. So this kind of speaks to me as an entrepreneur now, creating money for myself in my business. I'm actually doing that. My course is selling and it's coming in. But in order to be able to get money in the material plane, it has to start in the spiritual one first. It has to start with an abundance and a belief in yourself in order to attract something that amazing. Does that make sense? So your external environment reflects your internal one. So if you're not bringing in the money, it could be that the universe doesn't think that you need the money right now, that's actually not going to work in your favor as much as you think it is. You know, which brings up the law of polarity again. When you see something and you think it's a problem and it's really not. It's really the universe looking out for you and trying to get you to look at things differently. And sometimes the only way to do that is when we become so frustrated and mad and are in so much pain that we finally go inward and we start doing the work, and then it becomes obvious. So she says, from spiritual substance will come material manifestation. This is the law of divine compensation, and it's as real as the law of gravity. So it is kind of funny. You can't see the law of gravity, but we feel it, right? We experience it all the time. So there are so many things in this world that we cannot see, that we think aren't here because we can't see them on the material plane. But there's all kinds of stuff operating behind the scenes that we're unaware of. It's like when you go to a really good play, like I said, Beautiful Noise this past weekend, so good. Then I say so good because you know Neil Diamond. It was so good, but you don't see everything that's going on behind the scenes of the play. All you see is the play that's unfolding in front of you. It's kind of similar to that. So she says we activate the law with every loving thought we have. So if you're trying to bring money in, but you are completely super annoyed by your spouse, and you are emitting self-righteousness, anger, and in a really dark place all day long, guess what? That's not going to attract money. So what you're doing in your personal life absolutely impacts what you're doing in your business and when it comes to making money. It's all about law of attraction. So law of attraction and law of cause and effect is you have to keep yourself in a vibration, in a frequency that's going to attract to you what you want. She says faith is not just the logical principle, it is an emotional, mental muscle. We demonstrate faith in what can go wrong or what can go right. So many times we are always looking. In fact, I just posted about this morning. We're looking for what's going wrong and we're not looking for what's going right. Our brains have a negativity bias, so we have to be aware of that so we can purposely focus on what's going right. This can be challenging for people who don't know what their primary subconscious brain filters are. Those are the lens of how you look at life. It comes from your unconscious and subconscious programming, and you don't even realize that it's skewing your perception in life and making you look at things in a way that doesn't make sense to other people because they don't know about your filter. For example, somebody could do something and you take it totally personally because your filter is people just don't, they just do me wrong. I'm a victim. I'm always a victim of people not treating me correctly. So somebody does something that they think, through their own brain filter, but your interpretation, you make it negative and about you, and it's all brain BS. None of it's real. All right? There's a lot going on in our minds and in our interactions with other people, in our relationships, that is not even real. The majority of it. So I just want to say that again. All your problems in your relationships come from you having these subconscious brain filters and having your adaptive child self who reacts in ways that is not serving you. This is all in my course, by the way. I have the course for coaches that's out, but the one that's coming out for the non-coach is going to be coming out before the end of the summer. So I am looking forward to getting that out there because everybody needs to hear this information. So she says, when the energy we are putting out there is filled with consciousness of love, then the energy flowing back to us comes in whatever form most serves our goal. But an undisciplined mind, easily tempted into faithless and unloving thoughts, is a huge deterrent to success. So not only is it a deterrent to financial success, it is to emotional prosperity as well. Because if you don't feel good, then what does the money matter? I mean, I know it matters like for your basic requirements, but past that, for people who have big money goals and stuff, what's the point if you can't enjoy it and you can't feel good about it and you can't really be grateful for it and be solid in what you're creating and in yourself? Spiritual growth involves giving up the stories of your past so the universe can write a new one. So identifying with your material self rather than your spiritual self will always leave you vulnerable to self-hatred projections because the mortal self is not who you really are. Your spiritual self is who you really are. So our egos can get us into a lot of trouble with the way they look at things and keeping us so focused on what's in front of us and forgetting that like life can be miraculous and the universe can work in amazing ways. So sometimes you just have to turn it over to a higher power and recognize that that's your best bet. As soon as you've done everything that you can do, you're emitting a frequency that's high vibration to attract what you want, then you got to turn it over. So I'm doing that right now with this course and this community that I'm creating for the struggling coach. I am trusting that it's all going to come to me when it should. That if the money's supposed to come in, the money's going to come in. And if it doesn't, there's a reason for that. And I just have to stay in that place of faith because I know I'm being my authentic self. I know I'm living my purpose 100%. So I just have to stay grounded in that and not let my brain BS come up and start sabotaging me and making me think that things have gone wrong when nothing has gone wrong. Which goes to, are you looking at what's right or are you looking at what's wrong? So it's really a whole way of looking at life. It requires a lot of trust. which was not easy for me. That's been a big life lesson for me. But once you get it and you find ways to get back into it, which is what I use all these modalities that I am sharing with you this past month. These are all ways that I stay in faith. These are all ways that I stay in trust. These are all ways that I reprogram my subconscious and unconscious programming so that I can live up to my highest potential and I can bring money in. And because that money I'm bringing in goes towards a capital grant that's going to be awarded to other people and help their communities. So it ties it all together. When I stay in this, it not only benefits me, it benefits others. So she also talks about how women in particular are tempted to believe that our value declines with our physical beauty, yet sometimes it's when our outer beauty begins to fade that our inner beauty shines so brightly. So again, looking at what's right and not what's wrong. For sure, my beauty is starting to fade and my body is changing. There's just no two ways about it. But the inside, what's going on inside me is amazing. And I feel like I'm totally shining in a way I never have in my entire life at my skinniest or my prettiest. So it's constant reframing and looking at things in a way that works for you, but it's also really believing it at your core. You can't be phony about it and pretend like you believe it because it just doesn't work that way. So she also has she has a lot of prayers in this book. The book is really good. I highly recommend it. But she basically, it's like one of the prayers that I really like is like, can you please cast this thought outside of my head if it's not the direction I'm supposed to be going in? Can you please give me an idea of what I'm supposed to do next? It's always questions that I'm asking. And I ask my questions to the universe. Some people call it God, whatever you want to call it. Asking questions about how to stay in this frequency, how to stay spiritually grounded, and to trust the process in divine timing. It's not easy. It's getting easier for sure, but it's taken a lot of work and a lot of practice. When you start doing this as a practice, it becomes a way of life. It's habitual. You don't really have to think about it anymore. I'm not always thinking, well, how can I frame this in a positive way? I automatically know when I get triggered or something's happening and brain BS is coming up. I automatically know to go inward and figure out, how could this be working for me? What's the message the universe is trying to give me so that I can get back on track or I can make something happen? Well, what's the next step that I'm supposed to take? So I ask these questions all the time to the universe, and the universe answers. All the time, every time. And if I can stay grounded in the present moment and committed to taking whatever the next action is, that's what I do. And that's what feels good. And then I don't have to be worried about overwhelm, about what's going to happen if I do sell a lot of courses. What's that going to require of me? How busy am I going to become? How's that going to impact my marriage? It's like, nope, just come back here, stay in the present moment. Look at what's happening, trust your intuition, and take the next step. It's literally one present moment after another. If you do that, then you don't go into the overwhelm and all the other things, because overwhelm doesn't happen in an instant. It happens when your brain wants to take you far, far away from the present moment. So I just wanted to share this episode because I know a lot of coaches who are trying to make money. I know people who are trying to make money that are not coaches, who want more money at their jobs, who want to find different ways to bring in income. And the law of divine compensation can really work in your favor if you know that your spirituality or energy, it doesn't have to be spiritual if you're adverse to anything religious. Not that spirituality is religious, but some people think it is. You could just look at it as energy. You have to be in an energy of abundance and gratitude in order to bring in more abundance. So I hope you learned something valuable here today. I'll see you next episode. Thanks for being here and learning about Brain BS. I hope you enjoyed listening to the episode as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. If you did, please take a little time to do a quick review, give me 5 stars, and share it with everyone you know. If you're actually interested in being on the podcast yourself or have questions about it, you can find me in the Brain BS podcast community on Facebook. See you next time.